Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season. I cannot wait for the derby on Friday with that little bit of excitement you get.
Can we wrap this up nice and early? If we turn out like we did over the past 2 weeks, Wigan by an absolute shedful, and if we put in some effort, then it may well be a bit closer. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Confident then, Kevin?
I'm confident that we've got to have a reaction, because if we don't, it says an awful lot about kind of what's going on at the club at the moment. We've got to have a reaction from the players because they were under par against Salford, which you can kind of take getting beaten at Salford by Salford. They are a team who are capable of doing that. But the team that went out against Castleford should have had more than enough to beat them, but were completely out-enthused, outplayed, outthought by Cass. And Cass went away deservedly with the 2 points. Yeah, I think Wello said in his presser that it's been a long weekend. Well, guess what? It has for us as well.
Yeah. I'm bored of honest conversations.
Yeah, and I think there's a place for them, but there's got to be action. There's got to be action. And again, Wello has said it in his presser about the definition of madness is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Something that you
Wello said that.
Yeah, in his Friday night presser. Yeah.
Well, I missed that because I quoted today. Einstein said, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." And that's what I feel like we've been doing, because that interview in the press that he's given on Friday could essentially have just been a copy and paste from the interview he gave after the Warrington Cup game. And he said he was going to look at it and changes were going to be made, and he didn't do so. And I'm sorry, but I agree the players have let him down and they've not followed the game plan. But at some point, the coaches have to take responsibility and go, well, if they're not following the game plan and they're not doing as they're told, then A, does it reflect on us? And B, well, things have got to change.
We'll bring someone in who can do it. And it is going to be, obviously, then someone from your reserve squad, someone from your academy squad who comes in and does it. And I know people have been clamouring for it for a while. I find a little bit of the clamour a little bit disrespectful, because you see people saying, bring, for example, the academy halfback in. Well, what do you mean by that? Name your academy halfback that you want bringing in. Don't just say it, because it's almost one of them that, well, I said that. I said bring the academy halfback in. Well, which one? Do you want the reserves one in Will Roberts, who's just had 10 months out and he's coming back to fitness? Do you want George Whitby, who's just gone full-time? Do you want Harry Robertson, who's just gone full-time? But name one. Say who you want. Don't just blanket it. That dulls it for me.
Harry Robertson.
If you want Harry Robertson in, great. He's in form. He scored a hatful of tries against Huddersfield in one game. He seems to be the one who's kind of pushed on a little bit more this season. So, name him. Will Roberts, probably. It's a bit too early for him with him coming back from injury. Possibly so. If you're going to change a half, if you're going to change a fullback, there's an option there. But it's easy for people to say, get rid of them and pick another player. Name them. That's what we try and do. We'll give you an opinion. Get in the comments, get on our Facebook, get on social media, and chat with us about it.
Quite frankly, Kev, the way some of our backs have been playing, I'd name myself.
Yeah. Somebody said that on one of the groups that I might end up having to play 9 on Friday. I don't think the club will ever get that desperate.
We're going to get onto the squads in a minute. But I've watched back that game on Friday, and listen, there was a whole litany of poor performances. But I'm going to point out Lewis Dodd. I've watched every contribution that he made in that game, and I'm sorry, but he took the ball at first receiver and just dropped it off every single time with the defensive line 10 metres away. That's offering nothing. I could have done what he did on Friday night, watching back what he actually did. He didn't look like he wants to be there. He looked like he wants to play in a dinner jacket. Is it a case of it's self-preservation? But I'm sorry, that's not good enough for us as a club. And then obviously he got verbals after the game from some of the crowd who were questioning his we believe questioning his commitment and his efforts in the game, and he's given a mouthful back. The crowd have the right to tell you what they think. They pay the money. Uh, uh, like it or not, fans will tell you what they think, and he's had to go back at them. And I, I just wouldn't play him this week.
I think we just need something different. But as you say, we need something different all around the park, don't we? We need someone who's going to take the line on. We need someone to keep defences thinking, keep them honest. Because you could go through, as you say, a whole list of people who weren't at the best and were well off it. Lewis being
And
one
listen,
of them.
the thing for me is with some of the backs, like we've discussed in recent weeks, we don't think T. Ritson is good enough as a first team player for Saints. We're not entirely sure John Bennison is either. There's question marks over Wonga Blake, although I thought he picked up in recent weeks, but he seems to have regressed a little bit. If a player isn't good enough, so fans have opinions on the likes of Ben Davis, Sam Royal, unfairly at times, in my opinion. If a player is given their all and just isn't good enough, that at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about that. But when somebody, as one of your key players in the halves, doesn't look like they are trying and doesn't look bothered by that, and they're going to the NRL and they're supposedly going to be a big star over there, that's where I question why are they in the team. As long as players give their all, if they're not good enough, they're not good enough. That's the long and short of it, and that falls on the coaches and it falls on the recruitment of the club. But some of those players are completely and utterly underperforming,
Yeah, I think
and that's on them.
it also falls on salary cap as well and what you can afford under that because you can't just go out and buy everyone you want to. But you're right, when players are underperforming and across the board, that is on them. It's on them, it's on the coaching staff. But I hate leveling that players haven't shown that they care. I hate leveling that at them. But the energy levels were just down. They were down against Salford. They were down against Castleford. And it just needs to be better. There needs to be a reaction. Because you imagine if there's not a reaction on Friday night against Wigan, we can get outplayed. We can get absolutely outplayed. But if you don't see the effort, the application, then the kind of, we're just going to give it a go and see what happens here, then you're going to get people in an entertainment industry, because you are, as a sporting club, you are in an entertainment style industry. You're going to get people voting with not only the feet, but the wallets.
Okay, care's probably the wrong word. You're right, because do you know what? How do you define do they care?
Yeah.
But basic functions. I expect a player to perform the basic requirements of taking the ball to the line, looking for something, looking to put a player through a hole, not you passing me the ball and me just going like that to the side.
And that's fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Everybody is. That's why it's so good seeing people that I don't think there's a lot of comments under obviously our show from Friday straight after the game. And everybody's entitled to what they say, to say what they say, whether they are very much, we need to change the coach, we need to change the players, we need to give them time, we've got 9 out through injury, we've got this, we've got that. You're absolutely entitled to have that opinion. You're entitled to wear it. And unfortunately, the club's got to wear that at the minute because we are going through a tough time. Yet we are where we are in the league. We've scored points against teams and people haven't been grumbling. But it's that application. It's just that, as you say, the energy level. The energy level after, especially after having time off as well, to come back and be so flat. Is this the perfect game to have back? I'll tell you about 10 o'clock on Friday.
It's a free hit.
Yeah, exactly right.
I just want to see less of the drop off ball because that's so easy to defend against.
Yeah,
And
it is.
again, that comes on that comes on the attack. Comes on
Yeah,
Lauren Fresnew as the attacking coach. Comes on Wello, who oversees his assistant coaches and defines how we play.
yeah,
Listen, if that drop off ball and that way of playing falls on Lauren Fresnew as your assistant, then it falls on your head coach to tell your assistant that's not working. I want it changing.
yeah. And it might take time to do that because it's almost like a learned thing, isn't it? A
Yeah,
learned
and
reaction.
don't get me wrong, of the games we've lost, again, it's we with the team we've had out, we should be beating Castle at home with no disrespect to Castle.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
with them 8 or 9 players that we've had missing, if 4 or 5 of them bodies are in that team, we win them close games.
Yeah, and it's something that again I've listened to Wellow's pressers, and he's saying that players enjoy being in that battle, that close game battle, and enjoy coming out as victors. We didn't we didn't look like that on Friday. We looked like a load of people had rocked up, put Saint shirts on, and yeah, there were people who were trying through that game. I mean, mention Mark Percival running lines, running really hard, trying to get something going. Matty Lee's trying to lay a platform. Noah Stevens doing exactly the same. But there were just far too many off it, weren't there? Far too many. Dread. Sorry, I was just answering the headline. Derby Dread.
Well, delight watching the women's game first, where we might have to do win.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That'll be
Eamon
good.
McManus has come out with a statement today through the club. Trip to Wigan, always one of the highlights of the calendar. This year's no different. Thanking the fans arriving in huge numbers and the lift to give the club. And thanking the fans, you can read it yourself. We also know that the same will happen this Friday evening in spite of our recent disappointing results. It's needed more than ever. So Eamon's referenced 8 international players being out and the youngsters, and I would to challenge for them. I'm basically asking the fans to get behind the club. Um, is that the statement that was needed?
I know it's a nice enough statement, isn't it? And I think fans do react well to it. But is it? I think fans are looking for possibly a little bit more, but a little bit more when it comes to say recruitment, to retention. We want to kind of know the direction that we're going in for next year because we've not heard an awful lot. Say we've got a head coach whose contract is up by a 12-month extension. We've got players who have got 1 year deals, which are either in our favour or their favour. We've got people coming off contract. We obviously need some speed and some fresh blood in the backs. I get what, like, as I say, it's a lovely statement and saying that they need to perform in order to deserve it, which I think I clunkily tried saying on Friday night, that the players have got to help the fans generate that atmosphere. They can't take it for granted. But we're looking for more. I think as a set of fans, I think we're looking for that little bit of, right, great, what are you giving us?
That statement doesn't read to me like a statement that you write when you're considering a coaching change.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's almost like we're justifying the position we're in, and we're going to get into the next slide. I may as well move it on now. With the news today that Matt Shaw has exclusively broke on Rugby League Live that Saints are talking with Lee Briers about potentially returning to the UK next season, and it's Wellens who has been speaking with him about potentially being our assistant coach. That appears to me that Wellens will be given an extension. And I spoke on Friday that I've firmly been in the camp that I would give Wellens an extension. But after
Yeah,
watching Friday, obviously there's been a lot of dissent amongst the fan base in terms of extending his contract, and I said I was getting to the position where I was finding it hard to be able to present the arguments and justify it. I look at it now with the statement that Eamon's put out. Are we going to look at it as a situation where, do you know what? We'll sit down and review the year, and the performances haven't been there, but results wise, if Welland sits there and says, "Listen, I've been dealt a really bad hand with injuries. I've got 8 internationals out. With a half of them back, we'd have been comfortably in second place. We're still in second place now, but we'd be comfortably and we'd be challenging at the top spot. Do we say, okay, you're going to get your 12-month extension. We want to see an upturn in form next season. The attack hasn't been doing it this year, so you can have your wish. You can bring Lee Briers in, and we'll judge you over the next 12 months." Would fans accept that?
I think that you're always going to get a bit that won't. I think a bit that won't, a bit that do want Wellens out. Like you see, it's usually the people who are commenting and trying to make the voice heard who will kind of say, "No, I don't think he should." So you're always going to get that. Personally, I can see it happening. I think it allows you that stability in what is, and the club might not like me calling it transitional, but is a transitional period for us. And
I think they almost need to say that though. They need to come out and say, "Listen, we're aware the performances haven't been there this year. Yes, we're going to self-reflect on what we've done wrong, but there are some mitigating circumstances, which there are.
Yeah.
But we're going to go afresh next year. We're bringing Lee over, and that's how we're going to do it. And just stick with us." I'd take that.
I think from the bits I've seen, we always say that we're not massive NRL watchers, but from the bits that you hear and see, he is widely held in high regard in Australia. I was speaking to one of my Wigan supporting mates before. He holds him in high regard from when he was assistant coach at Wigan. I think that I think we need fresh eyes on it. We can't keep doing, as we've mentioned before, we can't keep doing the same thing. We can't keep having the same game plan because it makes it easy to play against. You've got to have new ideas coming in. You've got to. And I get why when Wello came in, he brought in an assistant coach from outside the club. But maybe it's time to freshen that as well.
It was interesting to me that in the interview on Friday, Wello name-checked Lauren as the attacking coach in his interview, which I thought was, I don't know, telling. Maybe are we reading too much into things? I've seen enough of our fans clamouring for Lee Briers to come in as our head coach. And what I would say to that is, on what basis? What has he done that Wellens hasn't, apart from get on a plane for a year?
Yeah, well, it's a good point, and it'd be interesting to hear people kind of give an opinion on that. When he mentioned Lauren in the presser, I thought it was almost like he was saying he was a rugby nerd. He was like a proper student of the game, and he was trying to set the game plan. Is it just the fact that the players haven't bought into it? And if the players haven't bought into it, then there's one of your honest conversations. I hope they've said it. I hope they said we don't think that this is the way that we can go forward doing it. So you need to change your ideas.
There does need to be, is there a root and branch review? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Of what's going on. And there does have to be a lot of self-reflection. It sounds like coach talk here. Honest conversation, self-reflection. Because there are things that aren't going right. Now, we briefly mentioned it earlier. The squad is out. We did hope to have Moses in it, but he's failed his second tribunal, and I don't think there's going to be a third, fourth, or fifth. So Will Roberts has come into the squad instead.
Yeah. Can you put the last picture back on just because it was better? No, I don't need you to really. It was just better looking at that 1997 away shirt.
That's why I picked it. That's why I picked it.
Bring back that away shirt as well while you do doing it since.
Yes, bring back that away shirt. That's how you announce Lee Briers in that kit.
Yes. Yeah, you can flick on. It's better looking than that squad because that squad is quite thin, to be fair. Sione Matautia drops out with his the neck injury that obviously hasn't got any better. Daryl Clark comes in as well as the Mbai Roberts switch.
I'm going to call it. I know John Davidson's mentioned it today. He believes there might be changes to the squad. I think Harry Robertson does come in at fullback on Friday. And this is for numerous reasons. Lewis Dodd's performance last week, for me, was awful. His reaction after the game doesn't speak of what we want as a club. You also have to start looking at next year now as well. We need to freshen it up. We need to look at next year as well. Now we've spoke frequently about if you think that Harry Robertson and George Whitby are your future for 2026, who are you going to sign to play in the halves next year? Given that you want someone who's good enough to play for the club, but you don't want to burden a big contract if you've got these youngsters coming through. Now, I know we've spoke frequently about playing Moses in the halves, but obviously, if you potentially had Harry Robertson round the squad over the last few weeks, he's lighting it up in the reserves. He's lit it up for the England Academy. Is this our opportunity to now look at the next couple of weeks, 3 hits with half the squad missing, at potentially looking at Harry Robertson at playing fullback and potentially looking at a Lomax and Wellesby combination in your halves next year?
Yeah, it is. I think the only thing you'd say is, do you want someone who's only just gone full time, potentially having to play 27 games plus cup plus playoffs
But is that
next
where you
year?
can use Moses at times at 7?
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. Because you don't want to burn these lads out. I got pelters for it at the start of the season when I was talking about George Delaney not getting burnt out. I'm going to stick with that. That you need to. Well, you've got Will Robertson. I suppose you've got George Whitby who can come in and do a job as a tiller. Really, you just direct it. That's all you need to do. Take the line on, put a kick in, and I'm making it to taking it down really to basics. But we're not expecting you to come in on. It shouldn't be the expectation for him to come in and be setting the world alight. It'd be good to see Harry Robertson make his debut on Friday, and it'd be quite reminiscent of Regan Grace making this at Wigan, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and if Harry Robertson comes in and scores 7 tries, this game will be forever known as the Robertson Derby. No
I mean,
pressure. But no,
yeah,
do you know what? Listen, we're going there expecting to get battered. If the one positive we come out of the game is that Harry Robertson's come into the team and showed signs of being a first team player, I'll take it.
yeah. I mean, he looks like one of them. He's clever enough to play 1 and 6. So that's got to be a good sign of a good rugby brain in him. So let's hope that the young lad gets his chance and the young lad keeps hold of his chance.
Um, okay, we'll go to the wing slot. John Bennison or T. Ritson?
No thanks. Benison, I think he will get his shot again. Yeah, I don't think either of them have covered themselves in glory necessarily in the past 2 games. I think Benno got better in the second half against Salford. And I think they're both going to be nervous players. I think there's going to be that trepidation of they're going to aim for my side, they're going to batter my side. But I probably think Benison's got the edge. He's not got the speed over Ritson, but he's probably got the edge. Just that you think, yeah, it might as well be.
Defensively more solid, probably better under the high bomb.
Possibly, but as long as he doesn't fly out the line like he did at Salford.
Yeah. Props. I would like us to change the way we use our props.
Yeah.
I don't like us using Matty Lees and George Delaney together and then them going off and you're looking at putting Parsi and Noah on together. They were very similar. I'd like to take one big man, one mobile man.
Okay. So how would you do it?
I would start with Matty Lees, he won't, by the way. This won't happen this week. He'll start with Matty and George. I would personally start. It's tough. I'd Matty and Noah and use Iggy and George coming off the bench. Or, cause I'm not sure you'd get big enough minutes out of Iggy starting the game.
Yeah, the minutes. I get that. I do get what you're saying.
If
You
Sione
just
was
want to,
fit, you'd probably go Matty and Sione, and then George and
or
well, one of the
or,
others.
or even if Morgan Knowles
Yeah.
was fit, you'd probably be going with Knowles
And
at
again,
top.
that Wello having his hands tied behind his back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The, like yeah, it'd be great to see say Noah start, but Arim and Iggy in the position where they can do their massive minutes at this level at the moment. I mean, we spoke about the interchanges and what happened with the interchanges over the past couple of weeks. You want to see us rotate our props to give them more of a rest, to give it more impact. And only seeing Noah in one stint, I think sometimes that's just a very dangerous thing unless you're playing him for a big stint across the middle of that, like coming on after half an hour and going off after 65, 70 minutes to then bring someone back on into his place. If you're only playing him for a 20-minute spell, then it's not what's the point, but you think, can you not use that a little bit better? I completely get your point when you say that the interchanges just need to be more proactive
And less rigid.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Noah has shown enough. I thought he was our best prop last week.
I think between him and Matty, Matty doesn't take a step backwards to be
No,
fair to him.
but
But I think
he deserved more minutes. He shouldn't have gone off 15 minutes into the second half and not been brought back on.
correct. Correct.
Okay.
Because he stays stood upright and he stays going forward, and it might just given us that little bit of extra impetus when we're chasing the game.
Yeah. Players to miss out. I'm going to go with T. Ritson.
Yeah.
Leon Cowan.
Yeah.
Will Roberts.
Yeah.
Now, 18th man. No, sorry. So, yeah, I've got rid of three, haven't I? Who misses out? Lewis or Jake Burns? Now, it depends what you're going to lose. What are you planning on using Lewis for? Whoever's on the bench needs to be spelling Darrell Clark.
Yeah.
Do you potentially look at Lewis there because he can pass the ball from first receiver?
You possibly do, but I think are you just moving are you just moving your spine about rather than really doing a proper change? Thought Jake Burns looked, and I know it's only off a cameo against Cass, but I thought he looked bright. He took the line on, and I want to see that from Hooker. I think we spoke about it for years. Spoke about it when Aaron Smith was our hooker and said, I just want to see him take the line on a little bit more. I just want to see him keep defences honest. I'd rather see Jake Burns at hooker because he is a hooker.
Yeah, well, given what I said at the start, if you want to develop the right culture at this club, then Jake Burns keeps his shirt after last week.
Yep.
And it'd be interesting to know how they announce if Lewis isn't in the squad, how they announce it.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
interview, the pre-match interview that they do with Wello, when they ask him the squad, if Lewis isn't in, and if Lewis is completely jettisoned, he's like 20th man or whatever, it will be interesting to see what they say. It would, again, as we say all along, like we didn't try and guess a team last week. I think I'm trying to get in this week. Would it surprise me if Lewis played? Absolutely not.
I'd have him 18th man to see his reaction.
Yeah. Well, he provides you, to be fair, he provides you with good cover if you needed an 18th man anyway.
Yeah. But do you know what? I think sometimes being named as 18th man shows you the sort of player you are. Like, look at Johnny Vaughan. How many times was Johnny Vaughan 18th man?
Yeah, and Noah's been it as well.
Noah's been it, and it shows your commitment.
John Bennison,
Yeah,
all Ben Davis, people like that who've just kind of stuck in there with it. And
I just think we've got to try something different.
yeah, that's fair.
Wigan squad. There's not. I
Wait.
don't see much. I don't see much in that team that worries us.
What is that? That squad that we've just looked at.
Sorry. The squad was a little bit fuzzy.
So yeah, so yeah. Two changes: Brad O'Neill and Mike Cooper drop out, and Jacob Douglas and Taylor Kerr come in. Brad O'Neill, another one who's been banned. You just away from this on Redvee, you put the Brad O'Neill challenge up, didn't you?
Yeah.
I can see why they banned him. I can see why.
It depends which angle you look at.
Yeah, no. The reason that I can see why is not because of how he ends him, because back in the day, that's just a good tackle and everybody's going on. And I'm not saying it's a bad tackle. But are they trying to get rid of that action out the game? So when you turn in someone, is that what they're trying to do? And to do that, they ban you for a game. So it makes you think twice about doing it again. Does it quite work like that? So that's why I can see they banned him. But also, I agree that if Brad O'Neill hadn't been banned for that, it'd have been, not a problem.
He's been banned for what could have happened.
Yes, rather than
what did. In which case, then, every time you swing your arm high, should you get a ban because you could have clipped the player around the head?
Yeah, because you're going to absolutely clout someone. It's once again the MRP.
It's like Moses has been banned. Now, he's tackled a man just after the ball's gone. You can see him stooping as the ball goes to come out. But he's done everything now in the guidelines it says you should do in terms of taking the man to ground. He hasn't banged him and let him go. He's took him to ground. How that's a ban? I'm sorry. If players take it to the line expecting to get tackled, Jacob Miller's got straight up and been involved in the next play. Neither of those two, Brad O'Neill or Moses and Bice, should be missing from this game this week. The RFL and the disciplinary are robbing fans.
It's the half bothered re-reffing of the game that again we've spoken about, and I like the fact I brought this up with a Wigan player rather than our own as well. It's all come about from a Wigan ban that we don't necessarily. And you can see why they banned him, but he shouldn't be banned. But it's the half re-reffing a game that makes us look at Monday and go, right, who's missing? Who's missing for next week?
Even Moses got to Monday and won't have even been considering that he'd get banned for that tackle.
No.
You almost wonder, does it like a ban come through to the club and like all come down and go, Moses, you're banned this week. And Moses turns around and go, what for?
Yeah. Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that, should it? But there we go.
Anyway.
This is a squad, Kevin.
That's a strong squad. That's
a squad we can be proud of.
It certainly is. No changes for Matty Smith's Saints women's squad for the derby at the Brick Community Stadium, which is the new name for the DW, on Friday evening.
Yeah. Double header. This one kicks off at 5:30. Both are on Sky. We've come off a great 16-6 win against Leeds. So if you can get to the ground early, this could be a game that helps decide top spot.
Yeah, exactly. Wigan are top at the moment, aren't they? So it'd be great for us to go over there and get the win. And if they keep up the current form, then there's absolutely no reason why the women can't go over there and take or have a better chance of finishing top.
Absolutely. And lastly, first fans forum taking place on Tuesday, the 23rd of July, at the Totally Wicked Stadium. Doors open at 6:45 for a 7:30 start. £20 each, including supper, and tickets can be purchased via Dave Howarth on the following telephone number and email. Morgan Knowles, Matty Lees, and Shane Cooper, a little bit before my time, but he is going to be a big draw for the older generation, which probably includes you, Kev.
Thanks. Yes. I'd only vaguely remember Shane Cooper, to be fair. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But he's a club legend, and he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it's, you know what, this is one of those that, no offense to the current players and the players who've only just retired, but getting someone like Shane Cooper over, it promises to be a good night for it, and you're going to get some answers and some stories that you're never going to get again, really. So yeah, it's for the 2026 Australia Academy Tour as well. So it's going into the future of the club.
Yep. Fabulous. He's been on something nice. Predictions, Kevin.
Starting the show with them, not saying them again.
I want a number. How many?
More than one.
Come on, give us a number.
24.
Okay, I'm going to go Saints by 10. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have some faith in your team, Kevin. And we will catch you after the game on Friday. But what is sure to be a really good instant reaction. Hey, Kev, do you know on Friday when you said it was going to be good for business, and I said to you,
immediately said good for business.
The cast video has currently had 6,400 views since Friday. I think it's gone up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place in the all-time Redvee rankings. We much prefer it when we win and nobody watches us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you outside the brick. The brick? On Friday night. Catch you soon.